Hello, you crazy guitar players. Again, round number 3 for the insane lick. If you don't know what this video is about, please go back and watch the first video where I explain the whole lick, and then you can practice it a little bit, just enough to understand what these players are doing. And then there's, of course, the second video with Gardner and Quayle and Majura and Stein. So now we're looking at 4 more players who tackled this fun synth line, which is really not a guitar player's dream. First, we have Trey Xavier. And Trey's a funny man, but he can play. Looking at his video and looking at his tab, he cheated a little bit. He did not have my tab, he only had my notes, which technically means he should have known. But the second to last note in measure 2 is a whole step higher than it should be. So maybe that gives him a little bit of an advantage. Other than that, he has a cool solution and he can play it really well. So let's check out what Trey's done.
Wow, I can't believe that I nailed it on the first take. Hi, I'm Trey Xavier from Gear Gods, as you can tell from the sign behind me. So I've been asked by Henning to learn this lick, demonstrate it, and show you how I did it. And, you know, how could I say no to the second funniest man in all of Germany? This song is like a totally overblown, proggy wank fest. It's like, we get it, bro. Odd time signatures, like, yeah, yada, yada. Honestly, I'm just kind of surprised that Sebastian Bach could count enough to be on this song, but it seems to have worked out. I'm sure somebody was over there going, So for this, I specifically asked Henning not to give me the tab of his version because I didn't want to be influenced by the way that he played it. I wanted to figure it out completely on my own. So I actually have no idea if this is in any way similar to how he was doing it. So now I'll show you my version, nice and slow, one little piece at a time. We start off round about the 12th fret here, and it goes thusly. So we start with a descending octave, and then we have a little suspended arpeggio, like a sus4. So that's how I played that. And then another descending octave a whole step lower. And I elected to slide down, or rather do a position shift. You don't really hear a slide, but I, move. When I was first working it out, I was actually playing it a different way, like this. And I was playing that second descending octave up here after doing a position shift there. And I felt like this was just a lot easier. I feel like if you don't have to really change the strings that you're picking on, it's a lot easier to be more accurate rather than having to move around with your right hand. If you can keep that consistent, it's a lot easier to make it like kind of smooth and automatic. So, and then the next thing that happens is just pretty much the same thing, but with a little twist at the end. So it starts off the same. And then I decided that rather than play that note here, which would be closer for my left hand, I decided to keep the picking once again as consistent as I could get it and just do a stretch with my left hand and play the note up here. That just felt a lot easier for me, especially at this kind of high tempo. And then the next lick is a variation of that same idea, but up a minor third. So in order to once again keep my picking hand consistent and to stay on the same set of strings, I elected to slide up to the 15th fret, where the next lick happens, the 15th position specifically. And then to slide back down to the 12th fret, where the next thing happens. And then we have this little like stacked fourths arpeggio. And you might think that like a sweep pick might be in order for this because, you know, we got 1 note per string. But the tempo sucks for sweep picking. I don't know, it doesn't feel right. So I instead kind of weirdly decided to do, I say decided, all right? My hand decided for me that this was how it was gonna go down. I did 3 little upstrokes. Like 3 individual upstrokes, not a rake or a sweep, but pick, pick, pick. And it might seem like that would be pretty awkward, but it's worked pretty well, and I was able to do it consistently, so I just kept it. And then this next thing, initially I was playing it like that with all 4 fingers. And then my pinky had to do this real awkward thing where I was like anchoring with my 3rd finger, and it felt really awful, and I wasn't able to do it really consistently. So instead what I did was I slid up right here. Like, I've got a pretty strong pinky, all right? Like, it's not... I do my trills, it's no slouch. And I don't like to let it get away with crap like this, but in this case, it just made the most sense to take it out of the equation, and it actually sounded a bit better too with a cool little slide. So I went with it. When you put it all together, leaves us with something like this. Thanks, Henning, for letting me do this. Letting me do this? I gotta stop picking up the damn phone when he calls. If you guys enjoyed my version, then hopefully you will also enjoy my Relationshapes Guitar Scales course, where you can learn every scale on the guitar in just 60 minutes. Hopefully Henning will remember to put the link in the description where you can click and go check it out. So, bye.
Yeah, isn't he funny? But again, the fucker can play. Moving on to my buddy Ben Eller. Ben is a fantastic guitar player and bass player and overall funny-ass human being. And just one of the nicest people you can hope to meet. So, Ben is doing it mostly the whole beginning like I do. But then, the CCC, so the high C, the low C, and then the high C, he actually plays the high C in 2 different locations. First he uses pinky, and then he goes to his index finger, which is very interesting because that puts him back in the original position. So it's a cool concept, but pay attention to his picking hand. He picks the whole thing alternate, but the opposite way. He picks outside, so he starts with an upstroke and then continuously keeps that going. I don't know if I could do that because I'm so into the emphasized notes need to go down. I have no idea, but it's way cool and it's a great video. So here's Ben.
Hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben, and we're here today to talk about Henning's Impossible Lick of Doom. I had a lot of fun with this one. It was an honor to get asked to play along such incredible players. I heard that CC DeVille dropped out last minute, which is why Henning contacted me and asked me to fill his shoes. But I think it's been really interesting to see how all these different hunks have approached this lick. And that's really one of the amazing things about the guitar. If a lick doesn't work in one position, then maybe you can move it to a different part of the neck, a different string set or whatever, and suddenly you can play it. At the end of the day, it's all about learning how to cater to your strengths as a player and going in that direction. Quick word about the gear I used to record this. I have my lovely Sir Modern Satin, because there is none more black, and this song is in the saddest of all keys, D minor, so it just needed to make sense. I plugged that Gortar into a really awesome overdrive by MXR. This is the Custom Bad ASS. I can't say it out loud or I'll get grounded. Modified OD, which is a really killer pedal. I ran all that into the front end of my Rev Generator 120, which is just about the grandest amp on the planet. I recorded this wearing my signature Andy Wood denim jacket, which I bought over at the merch store on his website at andywoodsmusic.com. And I have a shirt with a blue ghost on it to bring out the color of your eyes. Yeah, whenever Henning asked me to be a part of this thing, he sent along a tab of how he originally played the part, and I tried out his fingerings and stuff and found they just didn't really work for me. So at that point I started setting up trying to find a way that I could make these things work more better. Through a bunch of trial and error and massive amounts of profanity, I ended up finding the positions and stuff that I was going to use to play this thing, and then started slowly working the speed up bit by bit, just playing it over and over, while occasionally launching it into like ramming speed and playing it way faster than I could at the time, just to give my hands an idea of the punishment that was in store for them. Now, after I practiced it a bunch last night, I did another part of my practice routine that I find is very important, which is consuming a large quantity of a smooth muscle relaxant that I consume called gin. After that, I fell asleep, woke up this morning, and started working on this thing again, and I found that I could automatically kind of play it better. And this is one of those things that a lot of players have experienced, where something that was impossible for yesterday is now totally doable today, and the only thing that changed is, well, the gin, and you slept. If something isn't working for you today, just sleep on it and you might be surprised at how much better you do tomorrow. For example, I could never get your mom to give me her phone number, but the morning after, she gave it right up. Now, let's hear those hot licks again at stepdad speed. Let's break it down here section by section. Now we begin here with these octaves of Jesus. That's not too bad, this is kind of all there in that 12th position. And then after this we get the first ending. Now this is really odd because it seems more logical just to do the C here, then back to the same C you hit a second ago. But that puts me really far away from where I need to be to restart the lick. So I found that actually if I put the high C on the G string, the middle C on the A string, and then the next high C actually on the B string, it allowed me to cheat back down into the position that I needed to be in to start the whole thing over, like this. Then my little finger lands right here. That way I can restart the entire passage. Now I'm just straight up alternate picking this. You might have noticed though that I'm starting this with an upstroke. That goes back to a childhood trauma that I had. My father was killed by a downstroke, so I'm kind of wary about starting licks with those, so I typically start these with upstrokes. That also keeps me on the outsides of the strings. I've always been more kind of an outside picker anyway, so to me if I'm going to be jumping in between strings a lot like that, I'm just more comfortable doing it on the outside, so that's why I started this with an upstroke instead. The hardest part about that first section by a mile is that jump right there. G string, A string, B string while alternate picking. That's something that I could not do years ago, and then I played guitar in Andy Wood's band for a really long time, and lo and behold, my alternate picking chops got better. Imagine that, right? Now that's a weird one, but the thing about this is it also prepared me for the second section here, which is all the same except for one note. It sounds like this. So the only thing that changed there is instead of hitting a C for that weird string skipping part, it's an E on top. So in a way, by practicing this, the first ending, it kind of prepared me for this, the second ending too. It's just a little bit harder. Now when we get here to the third section, this is where I'm going to do my first position shift and move down here to the 10th position before climbing back up the neck. Now the reason I chose to go down right here instead of up the neck like I had been is because it makes the fourth section a little bit more easier to play. There's your first one finger roll. The next section here just felt like a high G power chord with a little finger roll happening up there at the top. I guess you could do it that way, like Jason Richardson style if you wanted to, but the important part is for the A note here, your first finger has to jump up so you can play the next section. So that's just like an A power chord to me. And then we have A good little finger twister here. Fingering wise, I'm playing 1, 2, 4, 3, and then ending with my fourth finger right there. Then whenever I restart the lick, I can just move that little finger back down a whole step to begin all over again. As for the solo itself, it's a little bit more straightforward. It's in 4/4, again in the key of D minor. And I was just thinking about, you know, a lot of like D minor scale, some D blues scale stuff. I was also thinking of puppies, kitties, and probably having some more gin later. And when it comes down to playing some of those weird string skipping parts like that, it's absolutely integral that you get your cross picking in check. You know, whenever I'm talking about cross picking, I'm talking about one note per string, alternate picking, no matter which direction you're going in. If you want to learn more about that, maybe you just search YouTube for Ben Eller cross picking and see what you find. Maybe you like and subscribe to my channel and ring the bell for notifications too while you're there. I don't know. Maybe if you want even more, you sign up for the Patreon page over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars, where you get tons of backing tracks, bonus lessons, and so much more. I don't know. Maybe you try that. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's how I approached Henning's Impossible Lick. It was a lot of fun, really challenging stuff. I thank Henning for inviting me to be a part of this. I thank my fellow Shred-Eye Knights for being so amazing and inspiring. And I thank you for watching this video.
Now on to the next candidate. Gus Drax is a Ziggy Brown endorser, and that's how I met him. He's got great guitars from Ziggy. And he can play. The kid can shred. Holy crap. And he's a big Petrucci fan, so I know that the alternate thing shouldn't be a big issue for him. Let's check out how he's done it and his explanation of how he tackled it and why.
Hey everyone, Gus Drax here and welcome to this very special video. I was recently contacted by Mr. Henning Pauli, who came up with this insane unison that you just heard moments ago. The idea behind that was to perform the section my way and then just make a video lesson for all of you. So let's just go and check out the section, and I'm going to break it down in detail for you, and hope you like it. Okay guys, so let's get down to business. Let me show you what I did here and how I faced the section. And the first thing that I did is to pretty much break down the section in 4 smaller ones. I started by learning the first section, then the second one, and then section 1 and 2 together. Then the third one on its own, and then I played 1, 2, and 3 together, and then 4 and the whole thing. And then the whole section repeats itself one more time, so you have to play the same thing 2 times. So first section with my options, you know, I faced it with my strengths and weaknesses as a player. Goes like this. I start with my pinky here. There is a roll here and I'm alternate picking everything, so that can be a little bit tricky, but you can definitely make it happen. So first section once again. I have a finger change here because I wanted to move this note here instead of here. So what I do is I play the 14th fret the first time with my 3rd finger, but then I use 2 and 3 so that I can go here with the 4th. So, and I can play that octave here. And this is the first part. Then I did the second part, which is very similar to the first one. It's just one different note. So sections 1 and 2 together. Then section 3 has a slide in there. You can do that slide with the second or the third finger. And let me show you what I do here. And sections 1, 2, and 3 together. And then I'm going to section number 4. And let's see what happens here. So we finish on this octave, and then we have a roll with the 4th finger. And here, that note is a downstroke for me, and then I'm going to the next, again with a downstroke. And that's it. I'm gonna play now the whole section for you. And then, of course, is metronome time. I sit down with the metronome, I start slow and go faster and faster and faster until I am at the desired point, which in this occasion is 110 BPM. I might go a little bit faster even to just be safe and sure. And then I just started playing it with the track until I just felt completely natural with it. That's it. So that was it from me, everyone. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it and maybe you had some benefit from it. Make sure you practice hard, stay safe, and take care.
Well done, Gus. Last candidate for today's edition of the Insane Lick is Andy Wood. Now, of course, throwing Andy in with all these players, just like throwing in Tom Quayle, isn't necessarily fair because he's an out-of-this-world player. And because of his background of playing mandolin, the cross-picking and the alternate picking is literally zero problem for him. So the alternate picking isn't an issue. He even says in the video, well, I made sure I can play it faster so it's safe. The fucker. But his version, I think, so far, is for me the one that makes the absolute most sense. The fingers he uses and then the positions he goes in always sets him up for the next move. In terms of economy and getting it without a lot of just the fluidity of it is amazing. I could have never thought of it, but I think for me personally, that's the version that I would practice and probably get down the best. Let's check out Andy.
Hello there, music lovers. Andy Wood coming at you from the Woodshed. Henning asked me to be a part of this video. A lot of cool players are involved, which is awesome. And the part is kind of unique in that it can be played in so many different ways. There's not just one middle C on the guitar, as they say. So I took a look at it and I figured out the way that I could play it and alternate pick it and the way that it would make sense to me for my playing. And hopefully it works for you. I mean, I found a way that works for me, so hopefully it works for you. Let's take a look at it. Alrighty, let's take a look at this thing. It's out of the key of D, and it can be played down here. But the way that I figured that makes the most sense to me is alternate pick all of it. Let me just show you where I'm playing it. It's right here. That chord. So if you notice, I'm using a pinky and I'm switching back and forth between this and this C sus2. And this is kind of like Steve Morse-esque. The way I can cross pick that. And so this right here, that's my transition. Watch that again. Octave. And so it's the same transition pattern that happens, right? So it's nice and effortless. So the way I'm thinking of it is like it's the same front. And the tag is different. And then the other one is... Right? So it's like the same kind of position. It's nice and easy for the hands to remember. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of it. We're up to this part. Now we're going to switch the pattern like that. So now I'm playing out of that F. And that's how I did that line. So I'm playing my minor 9, or my, flat 2 interval, or whatever you want to call that. And so now we're up to the G. What I'm looking at is a G power chord. So let's play that one more time. I'm going to show it to you one more time. One more time. Right? That's how we're going to do it. Right? So that's the way I'm moving around it. So I'm looking at the end will be 2 power chords. Or 2 double stops. Sorry, my bad. Like that. That's my position shift. And then I'm doing E, F, C, B. E, slide back down to root, and that's my downbeat for the rest of it. That's how I'm doing it. So that's how I'm playing it. And the cool thing is the way that I'm playing it, I can actually play it quite a bit faster than the recording. All right, so that's the thing, right? Is I'm looking for an effortless way to play it, and with that, I can play it faster than the record if I needed to. I don't really need to. Yeah. So there you go. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, the fucker. Okay, as always, the PDF with all their versions is below. The track, so that you can play to it and practice, is below, as is the isolated synth line. And if you want to check it out, and maybe show me your version if you have a different approach, go ahead, record it. I already had a couple of viewers send me their version, and when all this is done and we've got these stellar players, I'm gonna throw in a couple of you guys if I have enough to actually make a video. So I think this is a great little exercise and experiment just to see what solutions people come up with. And I would have never thought that we're still going and we still have little parts of every version that are slightly different than the others. So thank you guys who participated in this video. You are amazing, and I am very fortunate to call you my friends. So we're gonna move on so you can do other stuff and not watch me. But before we do that, we'll look at some animals who are at the end.